Hey guys, so as I said in my video yesterday or last night, that you saw today, I talked about the fact that, you know, one of the things that and I even mentioned this when I talked about the whole Stephanie Vaquer situation, and even people like JD mentioned it and everything, and I'm sure Solomon will talk about it on his podcast on, on Sunday. He might mention it briefly tonight during the SmackDown review, but he'll mostly mention it on Sunday. And I'm sure just Alex might talk about it, and others may, talk about it as well. But one of the things, that everybody's alluded to as to possibly one of the reasons Van Cure, went to WWE, whether she did it the right way or not, or didn't do it the right way, or, there were certain reasons why she didn't want to be all lead and instead wanted to go WWE and so on. One of the things that people mentioned was, because it came from her own mouth as well, when she did an interview with various places like TMZ, you know, one of the things that people were talking about when it came to this whole, unique, controversial situation was the fact that Mercedes Monet has FKA, formerly known as Sasha Banks. Mercedes was given creative control in her contract in AEW by Tony Khan. And a lot of people looked at this and they're like, are you out of your mind? Even Vince Russo, despite how you might agree with him, you know, he basically said that this is not a good idea. The same with Eric Bischoff, and those two guys are guys that don't get along whatsoever. They don't see eye to eye whatsoever. But the one thing that they, including someone that also has a disdain for Vince Russo and, has some respect and can be on friendly terms at times with Bischoff, Jim Cornette would even say, if not has already said, something similar, that you do not give talent, creative control whatsoever, no matter, no matter how big they are, in the industry, no matter how big of a name they are, no matter how good they are in the ring, no matter how many connections they have outside and the music and movie industry and all that, you do not give them creative control. Well, apparently that's what Tony Khan did, and a lot of folks, when they're discussing this whole Stephanie Vaquer situation of her going to WWE and whether she did it the right way, she did it the wrong way. There was this reason with people in AEW that support her boyfriend that tried to strangle her and everything, tried to, put her out. There were some, there are some there like Roosh that support him. There's potential that he'll be getting out soon, and all this kind of craziness. And there's also word that she always wanted to be part of WWE and everything, and that's why she, did what she had to do at Forbidden Door, and then just got on a bus and left. Just basically punched her ticket. Jumped into the Brinks truck as JD made it sound out. As JD made it sound out to be, if you will, jumped in that Brinks truck and went to Connecticut and then to Connecticut to Orlando. So there's reasons. I'm sure over time, through these various mixed reports, we're going to find out the truth. But again, the one thing that people talked about throughout this is, the potential that Mercedes having creative control and Vancouver going into that match knowing that, hey, I'm not going to stand a chance. I'm not going to be the one that goes over, because this woman's not going to let me. Everybody's wondering if that may have led to her ultimately, outside of the other things that myself and others have mentioned, may have led, ultimately, to her going to WWE because, at least there she has an opportunity. She has a fair chance to, be on a platform that's, widely known. She has a chance to, right now, cross over into TNA and work with some of their talent like Jordan Grace. She has a chance to elevate herself, get better in the ring, and go and face people like, let's say, Roxanne Perez and, Phelan Henley and so on, and JCJ and, whatever other names go down there or become part of NXT, you know, you have to, you have to wonder if her making this decision has a lot to do with Mercedes having creative control and knowing that instead of Mercedes doing the right thing and putting her over, so that maybe she can have a more balanced mindset of, okay, do I want to go to WWE, which is a lifelong dream of mine, or do I want to be all elite to where I could still do my CMLL commitments and New Japan commitments as well as make a good living stateside? You know, you have to wonder if her thought process was that if Mercedes would have done the right thing and used her creative control to put her over instead of the other way around, or not wanting to have it to be not have or not wanting it to be title for title, then maybe that would have changed her mind. We don't know, but as of right now, a lot of people can assume outside of all the other things people are talking about when it comes to the situation. you know, the one thing people are bringing up a lot is that creative controlness, that Mercedes has. Because within the span of less than 6 months, she already has the TBS title, she has the New Japan Strong Women's title, and who knows what she'll want next. We know she's got a matchup set, signed, sealed, and delivered for All In against Britt. And you have to wonder, if maybe she's going to try to play creative control there to, get one over on Britt. And how is that going to, and that's the thing, and that would be something interesting too. How is that going to play a factor, behind the scenes if, they come to a decision to where, okay, well, this is how the match is going to go, makes both women look good, may go no contest or whatever. How is that going to factor in if she suddenly decides, you know what, I want to be the one that goes over? Going against what they agreed upon. That again, there's a lot of elements that are in play here, a lot of elements in play. And, you have to wonder if that creative control will come into play when it comes to something like this. We know she's got an open challenge for the TBS title on the 250th edition of Dynamite. There's rumors of it could be a debuting Natalia, Natty Neidhart. There's rumors it could be, a returning Jamie Hayter. It could be, a Riho. We don't know. But she wants anybody except Britt. She wants anybody except Britt. So you have to wonder what's going to happen. You have to wonder, what's going to happen there. But again, getting back on topic, when you read that tweet that she puts out that, hey, she's going to, put her title on the line against anybody that, steps up except for Britt, some would look at that and say that's her creative control that she's instituting. Because why would she put that in there? Now, yes, storyline wise, it shows that as a heel, she's cowering away from Britt because she knows Britt on the mic and in the ring can, match her, step for step, if not outshine her. So, so we'll have to see exactly, what occurs here. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, the creative control, you have to wonder how that's gonna play in as a factor in the near future, and if after seeing various examples of it visually, on screen as well as otherwise, like online as well, social media, you have to wonder if that's going to deter a lot of potential women, that want to become, that want to try out All Elite Wrestling, that want to, be part of AEW to help grow its women's division. You gotta wonder if it's going to deter them from signing, because you can't tell me they don't see what happened here, and whether or not they agree with how Vaquer handled herself, and depending on what reports you believe, you have to really think and wonder that they're keeping an eye on that, seeing what happened and being like, well, if the creative control that Mercedes has is one of the reasons she left or didn't want to be there, where she could have been, having an opportunity to still be in CMLL and New Japan and all that. You can't tell me that these other women that want to be part of AEW are considering AEW as a place to go, that they see that, they hear about that, and they're like, do we really want to be part of that, knowing that this one woman pretty much has the entire division in her hands? You have to wonder if maybe they want to, not chance that, and instead they want to go maybe to WWE or to TNA, where they know at least they have a fair chance. It's something to really it's something to really think about, because if Tony Khan wants to rebuild his women's roster and he's getting the pieces, back in place, he's getting some of the more established OG pieces back in place. He's got Britt back. He's getting Jamie Hayter back soon, and so on. So you have to wonder, if he's maybe going to start having second thoughts of, giving creative control to Mercedes, knowing it's going to deter a lot of potential female free agents from being signed to All Elite Wrestling because of that. And you have to wonder if it's going to deter a lot of the women currently on his rosters, whose contracts will be up very soon, if they want to stay. That he has to wonder that. He has to consider that. And because if he doesn't, maybe talk to Mercedes, sit down with her lawyers and his lawyers and his team and her team, and say, look, we got to restructure this. We got to take the creative control out for the time being, because, you're basically, deterring a lot of potential women from coming in, being part of AEW and ROH, and you're also deterring a lot of women from potentially resigning and staying. You have to wonder if maybe he thinks somebody's talking to him about that, to kind of go and talk to her and try to restructure that contract, because again, like I said, you can't tell me they don't see what happened here with Vancouver, not just those on the roster, but those that potentially want to come in, and they're thinking to themselves, well, we may or may not agree with the way she handled herself going to WWE, but you also have to really speculate and wonder, when they hear people talking about the various reasons why she didn't want to go to AEW, and one of them at the very top being that creative control that Mercedes has. That's something to really think about. Like, is that going to basically affect any potential signings to AEW's women's division in the future because of that? And you have to wonder exactly how that's going to come into play when it comes to Britt and her at All In. Because, like I said earlier, she could, a lot of people using this as an example. She could say, hey, I'm cool with the decision and the direction we want to go in. That's fine. But then all of a sudden she could be like, nope, I don't want to do that. You have to wonder, how that's going to, you have to wonder if that might be something that occurs depending on the creative control she has. Now, I know some people might say, well, maybe she doesn't have that much creative control as as she says she does. Maybe she has a little bit that she institutes here and there. Well, the way she made it sound, according to TMZ, she has a lot, and she said this in other interviews as well. She has total creative control, and that, like I said, that could play a factor in the future of the women's division in AEW, on whether or not some of the women want to stay, that are currently under contract, whose contracts will be up soon, as well as those that might want to come into AEW and give it a shot. So yeah, the creative control situation, it may have not been the best idea for Tony Khan to give it to her, and it may come back, to bite her. And again, if this Vancouver situation is, if her going to WWE, despite how she did it, is, partially due to the fact that, knowing going into her match with Mercedes of Forbidden Door, she didn't have a chance of really good, getting herself over, and maybe going to a draw with Mercedes, or at least, beating her to become a double champion herself, or even for a week or whatever. You have to wonder if her knowing about that, hearing about that, she's like, look, I'll put on a good match, I'll do business, but then I'm out, I'm bolting, I'm done, I don't want to be here, because if this is the future this division is going to be having with this woman running things creatively, forget it. So you have to wonder, they hear about, how she exited despite, the various reports of how she did it, or went about it, and on top of that, top of one of those reasons is, the creative control that Mercedes has. you have to wonder if that's going to be a detriment, to Tony Khan and wanting to, sign certain female talent to his rosters, both AEW and Ring of Honor, as well as, maintain and keep certain talents whose contracts might be up. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. The 250th edition of Dynamite this Wednesday, as well as mostly All In at the end of August, those are going to be the very telling ones because I'll tell you this, 250 may not be an issue, whoever she goes in the ring with, because she'll have creative control on who she chooses to be her surprise challenger. We know that. But All In's going to be the real kicker right there because, if something happens during that match that was not agreed upon, and it gets out that behind the scenes there was a scuffle or there was an argument, maybe not on the levels of what happened with Jack Perry and CM Punk last year, but something, to where it gets people talking like, ooh, this is not good for the women's division, then, then you have to wonder if maybe, again, Tony Khan should reevaluate what he's done and maybe have his team and lawyers meet with her team and lawyers and restructure it to where that creative control isn't an issue anymore. So we'll have to see. But right now, if the Vancouver situation is any example of Mercedes creative control being a detriment, to the potential signing of new talent to AEW and Ring of Honor and re-signing of current talent, then if I'm Tony Khan, I sit down with my lawyers and me and my lawyers. If I'm Tony Khan, me and my lawyers, my team, we sit down with Mercedes and hers, and we, talk things out, and we restructure that contract to where, that creative control is not an issue anymore, and that, or maybe if she has creative control, that at the end of the day, whoever runs the women's division has the final say, and not her. So, so that's what I would do if I'm Tony Khan. If what people fear could potentially happen, happens. And again, the most jarring example of that, kind of situation occurring will be All In. That's why a lot of people are going to keep an eye on that matchup, as well as how we build towards it with her and Britt. But let me know what your thoughts are on this whole situation. What are your thoughts on Mercedes having creative control? Do you think it was a mistake on Tony Khan's part to give it to her? Do you think that's the reason Stephanie Vaquer, or at least one of the major reasons Vaquer didn't want to sign with AEW? Let me know. Comment below. Also check out my Teespring store. Link is in the description. Also check out the other links to the places where you can find my content. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Love to hear them.